Well, my friends, it is definitely that time again as the Nothing OS 4.0 beta is officially here, live in the flesh for everyone to try out, if you have a Nothing phone, of course. And this year, it seems like it's a bit more of a complicated release than usual. On one hand, there's a lot of movement happening with new additions, new features, a lot more AI, Nothing's own community-run app store, crazy enough, and so much more. While on the other hand, I see a lot of the core user base is upset with the lack of customization. Regardless on whichever side you fall on, I think there's a lot to talk about with this new release of Nothing OS 4.0, so real quick, let me show you everything new you need to know about. So, like I said, Nothing OS 4.0 is finally here for us to try out, arriving a few months after the official Android 16 launch for Pixel devices. I've seen some people say this update isn't a huge leap, but in my opinion, there's quite a few new additions that are definitely worth talking about. For one, this new version of Nothing OS is based on Android 16, so you get many of those core features right out the gate, like notification cooldown, the improved modes feature that replaces Do Not Disturb, regional preferences, the Android 16 Easter eggs with live updates, plus a few more, so that alone is a nice addition. On top of that, Nothing has added a ton of their own custom features, bringing the total to about 10 major new additions. This includes their huge announcement introducing us to the concept of Essential Apps, which uses AI to generate various widgets, and the launch of Playground, which is effectively their own custom app store for Nothing devices, and by far one of my favorite parts of this announcement. So there's clearly a lot going on here, and first, let me show you the actual Nothing made new features right now. One of which is a pretty decent change to pop-up view, as you can now switch between two apps at once, allowing for easier and faster switching between apps. To access it, you just have to open the app you want to use in this pop-up view, swipe up from the bottom until you see the pop-up view UI element, and then release the app where it goes into this small windowed mode. If you want to use it with a second app, you just open a new one and repeat the same exact gesture. At this point, you'll see one app as a quick access chip, while the other is active on your display, letting you quickly switch between them with just one tap, or you can minimize both for quick access anywhere on your screen. It's a small feature, but a nice addition that helps give power users a bit more flexibility. Next up is a fun, albeit minor change in Nothing OS 4.0, as we now have two new, highly stylized clock faces for your lock screen. One uses a heavy, blocky font with thick, bold numbers, giving the lock screen some kind of an industrial look. It's a very modern, statement-making design that definitely does stand out quite a bit. While the second clock face is actually the complete opposite, offering a clean, minimalist, and more lightweight design. It has this wireframe type look where the numbers are formed by thin geometric lines, giving it a somewhat high-tech, clean look and feel. So basically, we're getting two distinct options here, which adds more customization and does keep the experience fresh. Although I do have to say, myself and many others were expecting a bit more here. Maybe being able to resize the clock, add color, have some kind of lock screen depth effect of sorts like we have on Apple, Pixel, and Samsung. So here's to hoping they make some changes like that in their own style for future betas. Nothing OS 4.0 also adds official support for 2x2 size quick settings tiles. In the past, Nothing earned major props for how much work they put into their quick settings menu with its flexible grid-based customization, the ability to place tiles almost anywhere, and the ability to resize these tiles into a 1x1, 2x1, or 2x2 format. The thing is that 2x2 format was severely limited to specific tiles before, like the Bluetooth options, for example, but now it's available for the vast majority of tiles, which is absolutely amazing. Great for customization, however, it mainly feels like it's there for aesthetic purposes. As of this first beta, these larger tiles only show the app icon and the name of the function. There's no additional information, no new ways to interact like you do get with the Bluetooth tile, so functionality-wise, there isn't really much being added there. On the bright side, the touch targets are much bigger, so they're easier to interact with, and some tiles with longer text don't need to vertically scroll, so you can see the whole thing, which is way better for glanceability. So it's a huge step in the right direction, but ultimately, I really hope they expand on this idea and give us way more info, way more details, and maybe some kind of graphics to make these 2x2 tiles more lively and functional. Next up is a new addition called Extra Dark Mode, which you can find as a toggle in the dark theme settings. Long story short, it's meant to create a more immersive dark theme, and since Nothing phones use AMOLED displays, this should provide some battery benefits as true black pixels consume no power. Unfortunately though, it seems to only work inside the settings app in particular, so as far as I can tell, it doesn't theme the widgets, app icons, the quick settings panel, or other system level apps. To me, everything about this lack of availability just screams it's a byproduct of a beta feature, and hopefully this extra dark mode gets expanded to the rest of the operating system, because a true system-wide dark mode is always a favorite among Android enthusiasts. And finally, this last one is just a real quick mention, but the stretch camera preset, which creates richer shadows and extends highlights in photos, is now available for older phones like the Nothing Phone 2, 2A, and 2A Plus. Nothing crazy, but it is nice to see them expanding on these creative tools to older devices. So that is every new Nothing OS 4.0 feature, and you can install this right now if you so choose. The beta did start on September 30th and is available for the Nothing Phone 3, 2, 2A, and Phone 2A Plus, while the Nothing Phone 3A will get the beta later in October. Unfortunately for Nothing Phone 1 users, that device has officially reached its end of life with major OS updates and will not receive anything else in the future. So that covers the operating system itself, but I wanted to talk about arguably the biggest announcement, which is the official launch of Nothing's Playground App Store and Essential Apps. Essential Apps are effectively user-created home screen widgets generated via conversational prompts with AI. And instead of downloading them through the Play Store, you can go to Nothing's Playground platform and download your essential apps from there. I did take a quick look at this new store just to see what was available, and to my surprise, there's actually a decent bit of apps there. Some are fun little gimmicks like games and clocks, but some are functional widgets like F1 schedules, calculators, and to-do lists. Not to mention, you can also download glyph toys for that rear display, camera presets, and EQ profiles, all made by the community. And as a whole, I really love the concept of this. I consider myself a hardcore Android enthusiast through and through. I love the hacky, hobbyist, free feeling that I get from using Android devices, and this feature actually makes me feel the nostalgia for the good old days. I remember back in my day with Pebble, the Razr phone, old school OnePlus, LG, they all had some kind of community hub where you could download community-made themes or tweaks to help better customize your phone. And with the launch of Playground and these essential apps/widgets, I see so much possibility here. All these little home screen widgets are created through AI prompts, supposedly with no code required, which means technically anyone can make what they want for this platform. I tried to make something for myself, but there is a waitlist, so I'll give you an update once I get in. But overall, the concept sounds like a genuinely fun and useful application of AI. My only real concern is with the future business model surrounding this situation. According to an interview with The Verge, Carl Pei said they need to reach a certain scale before they turn on monetization. That comment alone gives me some kind of a weird feeling, as it could have the potential to be a classic bait and switch, releasing something really awesome and really amazing for free, but then changing the model for profit that makes the service ultimately worse at the same time. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but for now, in concept alone, I have to give Nothing so much credit for this. A big complaint about AI is how it's forced into everything and onto everyone these days, but this feels like a genuinely engaging way to use AI in smartphones. It gives me real excitement in an old school tech kind of way, and I really hope everything works out in the long term. At the end of the day, it really does feel like Nothing is heading in an interestingly unique direction these days. Yes, Nothing OS 4.0 was not the ultra-packed, feature-rich update some members of the community have been asking for, which is definitely more than fair. But to me, the real headline here is the introduction of Playground and Essential Apps. It's not something very common with a lot of these smartphone brands, and it seems like Nothing is actually trying to bring some change to the industry, so I'm gonna be patient with them and see what the experience is like once it's more finalized. But my friends, those are just my simple thoughts. What do you think is the most exciting part of this update? Are you interested in the new operating system features, or are you all in on the potential of Playground and AI generated widgets? Please Let me know. Drop all your thoughts down in the comments section, as I'm super curious to hear what the general Android community is thinking. Until next time, this has been Jordan Floyd from 9to5 Google. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.